This didn't work out very well, did it, chums? And once again, when you think about it, Meghan Markle, well, goes halfway around the world, some people might say, all, of course, looking for adoration, trying to mimic Catherine, the Princess of Wales.
The same week, roughly the same window of time. In Italy, a princess, warm crowds, genuine connection, children responding to her instinctively, front pages across Europe capturing a woman who looked, in every photograph, like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. In Geneva, a different story entirely, a traffic island setting, sparse attendance, a speech reportedly still being written as the car arrived, and British newspapers, one by one, deciding there was a more important story to lead with. The contrast was not subtle, and for the person standing on that traffic island in Geneva, acutely aware of the front pages she was not getting, it was not lost. This is what happened, this is why it happened, and this is what it tells us about a pattern that keeps repeating no matter how many times the approach is changed. The Italy moment. What genuine engagement looks like. Let's start with what worked, because understanding that makes everything else clearer. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, was in Italy on a working engagement, the kind of visit that, from the outside, might look straightforward. Show up, meet people, say the right things, leave. But anyone who has watched Catherine over the years knows that this is not how she operates. There is something visible in the way she moves through these moments that cannot be manufactured. The way children respond to her, not because they have been briefed or positioned, but because she drops to their level, finds their eye, gives them her full attention rather than the cameras. The way she shifts between the formal demands of the occasion and the human instinct to make the person in front of her feel seen. She wore clothing sourced locally, not as a calculated gesture, or if it was calculated so well it felt entirely natural. The message underneath, I am here for this place, not for myself. The press coverage that followed was not manufactured. It was the organic result of someone doing their job with genuine skill and genuine warmth. Front pages, warm editorial comment, the kind of response that a PR team cannot buy and a strategy document cannot produce. This is what Meghan Markle has been watching, carefully, with considerable frustration. And this is what she went to Geneva hoping to replicate. Geneva, what actually happened. The setting, first, a traffic island, open to the public in the way that open spaces always are. People passing, phones out, no controlled perimeter, no real sense of an occasion that had been properly thought through. Now, the setting itself was not Meghan's choice. These decisions are made by logistics teams, by organizers, by the people responsible for the practical architecture of an event. But here is the thing about events at this level. If the setting is not right, you either fix it before you arrive or you decline to appear in it. You do not step into a poorly chosen location and hope the photographs work around it. The security dimension of this is also worth noting. For months, years in fact, there has been a sustained legal and political effort to argue that Harry and Meghan face credible threats that require professional protection at the highest level, that without state-funded security, they cannot safely appear in public. And yet, here is Meghan standing in an open public space, people in the background on phones, no controlled environment, no clear perimeter, accessible in a way that entirely contradicts the security argument that has been running in parallel. You cannot simultaneously argue that you are a uniquely high-risk target requiring government-funded protection and appear at a public event that looks like an open invitation. These two positions cannot both be true. The speech and the front pay. GS that didn't come. The speech itself was serious in its subject matter. The cause was genuine. And it is worth being clear that the underlying work, the charitable intent, the human stakes of the issues being addressed, deserves to be taken seriously regardless of anything else in this story. But delivery is not separate from impact, especially for someone whose primary asset at this stage of their public life is their ability to command a room. A speech that sources suggest was still being worked on as the car pulled up is not a speech that has been given the preparation it deserves. It is a speech that is being improvised toward. And audiences, even well-meaning ones, can feel the difference between a speaker who has lived with their material for weeks and one who is still finding it as they stand at the podium. 10 minutes, one speaker, no supporting visuals, no graphics, no contextual material to anchor the audience in what they were being asked to care about. These are solvable problems. They are exactly the kind of problems that a capable, well-resourced communications team fixes before the event rather than after. Which raises the question that keeps surfacing around every Sussex public appearance. Who is actually running these things? And are they being listened to when they identify what needs to change? As for the British press, every major newspaper chose to lead with a different story. Every one. The single exception led not with the speech, not with the cause, but with the physical setting. An angle that, for reasons anyone watching this situation will understand, did not please the person being photographed. When the only front page you get focuses on where you were standing rather than what you said, that is not a win. The pattern, Why this keeps happening. Here is the thing that makes this story significant beyond the specifics of one trip to Geneva. This is not the first time. It is not even close to the first time. Australia, a visit that was supposed to generate warmth and demonstrate relevance, that ended with ticket sales that did not meet projections and an Invictus funding commitment that did not come through. The Middle East engagements, carefully planned appearances that moved through the news cycle without leaving any particular mark. The lifestyle brand, launched with considerable momentum, now significantly quieter than the launch suggested it would be. Each of these moments had the same architecture, a clearly stated objective, an event or visit designed to achieve it, and a result that fell short, sometimes slightly, sometimes significantly, of what had been promised or anticipated. The response to each shortfall has been the same. Move on to the next thing. Announce the next project. Generate the next headline that signals momentum. But momentum is demonstrated, not announced. And the gap between what is announced and what is actually delivered has become, over time, one of the most consistently noted features of everything the Sussex brand attempts. There is also a specific frustration that surfaces repeatedly in conversations with those close to this situation. A frustration directed not at the external world, but at the internal organization. A team that does not get the logistics right. An environment in which the people who identify problems are not always the people whose concerns are heard. A gap between the vision and the execution that keeps showing up in the same places, in the same ways. How many times does an experience have to repeat before the conclusion becomes unavoidable? That is the question, and it is not right now being answered. What Catherine's success actually means. One more thing worth saying clearly. Catherine's success in Italy is not a threat to Meghan. It does not take anything away from whatever Meghan might achieve. The public's capacity for warmth toward one person does not reduce their capacity for warmth toward another. But here is what Catherine's consistent success does do. It makes visible the difference between someone who has spent 20 years learning how to do this job and someone who has not. Between someone who prepares meticulously and someone who is still working on the speech in the car. Between someone whose first instinct in a room full of people is to find the person who most needs to be seen and someone whose first instinct is to find where the camera is. These differences are not insurmountable. They are learnable. They require time, patience, genuine commitment to the work rather than to the image of doing the work. Whether that kind of commitment is currently available in the organizational structure, in the mindset, in the daily decisions being made in Montecito, is a question that Geneva and Australia before it, and the Middle East before that, are all quietly answering. Italy and Geneva, the same week. One story that wrote itself because the work behind it was done properly, another that didn't land because too many things, too basic, were left unresolved. The charitable cause in Geneva was real. The intent, whatever else you think about it, was not nothing. But intent and outcome are different things, and the gap between them, in this case, as in so many cases before it, is where the real story lives. Drop your thoughts below. If you see this differently, if you think the press coverage was unfair or the setting was irrelevant, I genuinely want to know. Like the video if it helped you see the full picture. Subscribe if you want to stay with this story as it continues to develop. Take care. See you very soon.